Good morning. This is Tom with the Tractor Rescue Ranch. I'm back to work on this Tractor Rescue Ranch sign. Just wanted to show you, I had a comment on what I did to seal my wood. This is the stuff I usually use, and you can buy that at Lowe's or Home Depot, I believe. Either place has that same thing. And it's just a two-part epoxy, a clear epoxy, and I've used it on a lot of things and it seems to work really well. Anyway, I'm working on this sign again. So my first step is to just do a sealing coat on this. You can see it's got some cracks and everything. I want to get some of this epoxy work down through all the cracks. Those cracks don't go through all the way through, except in this one spot. And what I've done here on this one spot is I've filled the bottom in with silicone and the side there. And then I'll be able to just pour the epoxy down in that crack, and it seals up the cracks really good. So I'll get that first coat on, and then you got to let it sit and dry for a while. Let it set, and then I'll be back to the next step on it. I'll eventually, what I'm going to do is seal this top part, and I'll seal the sides, and then when I'm working on other coats of it, I'll take and seal the back side as well, just with the leftover stuff, so that the back side, so that it's sealed all the way around and protected from the weather. So okay, I am not a professional with this epoxy. I've done quite a bit of work with it, but I by no means would consider myself a professional. I just thought I'd run through here a few things and to point out to you. These cups you can get at the hardware store, and they work really good for measuring out, and you need to get this accurate enough that for the cost of those cups there's no reason why not to use them. And I don't have enough experience to have a really good handle on how much to make up per batch for coverage. There's a whole bunch of information on the internet about using epoxy, and I would just refer to some professionals on it. So I put 4 ounces of the one component and 4 more ounces of the other component. And then it takes a lot of stirring. You want to make sure that all those 2 different components are readily mixed. I found that it's best probably not to use like a paint stirrer, because when you do, you fill it full of air, and that air bubbles create problems. So I've just found that it's better just to take 5 minutes or so and just stir and stir and stir. This stuff, as it starts setting, will heat up. So you got to be a little cognitive of that. It's not real bad, but that's how you know that it'll be setting, is that it's starting to heat up. I'm out here in my tool room and I got a gas heater going in here, and things are really nice. Nice to have a place like this to work. We got we're under a blizzard warning, but as of yet it hasn't developed. We've just got some wind and some snow, but it hasn't been real outrageous yet. I think the chances of that go up as the day goes on here today. So I have found, not using a brush or anything, I have found that I like to just put on some rubber gloves, and so my goal here with this is to get a thin sealing coat over everything. That, and also this crack right here, I've got to get filled up completely. I don't want to end up with that crack getting worse. Got to make sure I get it down in the bottom of all of those cutouts. Without filling them up, because I'm going to fill them up with colored epoxy when I get to that point. You can start with a board with a crack like that, and if you get it filled with that epoxy, that crack is essentially gone. You can still see the crack, but as far as the integrity of the board, it's essentially not like not having the crack there. Well, I guess pretty good on how much to make for this first sealing coat. So from there, you'll end up with some air bubbles, and the air bubbles come out really easy and quick with a little bit of heat. This actually helps it to settle down into the cracks and everything as well. But a little heat on it will pop those air bubbles. I think my gas is frozen. Been out in the cold. Okay, I'm just going to go around and make sure that all of my channels here are not filled up. One of the good things about using this epoxy, if it doesn't turn out like you want it, it's real easy just to sand down. If the finish on it isn't what you wanted, it's easy just to sand it down and put another coat over it. But this isn't supposed to be the final finish right here, so I'm not too concerned with it. Well, that's looking really nice. That finish sure makes that beetle kill pine pop, all of the colors and the different areas where it changes from different colors and the patterns in it. So from here, you've got to either do your next coat before this is fully dry. It's got to dry quite a bit, but it's got to remain a little bit tacky, just like if you was using paint. If you let it dry too much, you got to sand it before you do another coat. So either way works fine. So I'll give this 2 or 3 hours, and I'll probably come out this evening and try to get some of the letters and stuff filled in. Okay, it's just barely tacky, It's dried, but it's still got a little bit of tackiness to it. So I'm working on the colors. And you don't have to, you can see that the yellow and the green, I've already filled in the holes. And just so they're all filled in, I'm going to come by, and when I come by and sand it after the whole thing is cured, all of the edges will just be really sharp and crisp. So it doesn't matter, just so you got full coverage down in that little area. So these smaller amounts, it's kind of hard to get a perfect blend, 1-to-1 ratio, but it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. So I just mix this clear epoxy just a real small batch, and then you just take an aerosol can of whatever color you want, and spray some down in there, mix it real good. I don't know if that color is showing up there. That's blue for my next color. If you spill a touch of it, it's okay out on the sides because you've got it sealed underneath. It won't go down into the wood. Got it sealed underneath, and it'll just sand off. So that's what it looks like from this stage. Okay, there is the color just roughed in. From here, I just got to let it cure for several days. It's got to be good and cure, and then go to sanding, and all those edges will pop out. Anyway, so thanks for watching.